Look right now, I'm on page 32 of the accounting booklets, and in this video I will ensure that you understand the procedure to record credit purchases, the payments and the returns to creditors. Basically everything that has to do with your creditors or the people that you owe money towards. Okay, so firstly we can buy items, trading inventory, stationery, equipment, etc. on credit, which means we receive an invoice from the creditor or supplier. Okay, so they give us a source document which is called an invoice, and that shows there's a proof that we bought from them for a specific price and whichever items we bought. Okay, then the business buys from different creditors. Okay, so we buy from Macro, we buy from other businesses as well, and these invoices received do not follow on each other in numerical order because they've got their own systems. So in our own books we renumber the invoices so that if we renumber and start with number 10, then the next one will be number 11, etc. It doesn't matter what the number was on the invoice that we received. Okay, so the CJ is a transaction we record in the CJ or creditors journal is where we bought on credit. And then if it's a specific name of a person that you or business that you transacted with, you can post it immediately to the creditors ledger for each individual creditor. Say for example you bought from Macro, then you will have an account for Macro in your creditors ledger, and you will record that you bought from them, and the account then increases. Okay, so you owe Macro, for example, then more, so the liability increase. Remember that creditors will be liabilities. Now if we can increase the account, if we can owe more to someone, we can also owe less, and that will be done in the CPJ. Okay, we can either pay by check, which is not going to be in business for a long time because checks are being phased out in the future, or we can do it via EFT transaction. Okay, so if it's an EFT transaction, the source document will be a bank statement, so you will go and look on your bank statement, and if it's a check, the source document will be a check counterfoil. Okay, so now we take those slips or source documents from the CPJ and we record the transaction in the CPJ, and then if you paid a specific creditor, you're going to take that amount of that. Let's say you paid Macro, you're going to post it to Macro's account in the creditors ledger. Okay, now if one of the items bought from Macro, your creditor, was sent back or you send it back to Macro because you're not happy with it, the business will owe this creditor Macro less. So we only owe money to Macro for the items that we have with us. If we send it back to them, obviously the account to Macro must decrease. Okay, so if we send stock back or equipment or whatever, we record it in the creditors allowances journal because the creditor gave us allowance, almost like a discount, and if it is obviously a creditor, because it's in the creditors allowances journal, we immediately post it to that account of, let's say it was Macro as well. Now remember, if it's a CJ, the amount that we owe increases. If it's a CPJ, the amount decreases, and if this the CAJ, the amount of the creditor also decreases. So we're going to look at a couple of examples of that. Okay, now at the end of the month, all the accounts, stationery, trading stock, whatever we bought and traded, all the transactions that we did and posted to different journals, all the totals of these journals will go to the general ledger where we summarize it. But also to the general ledger, the creditors control account if it's creditors, or if it's specific creditors, we will do that in the creditors or the appropriate accounts in the creditors ledger, which is the next one. Alright, so firstly, end of the month, all the accounts posted to the journals, which include creditors control and the other appropriate accounts. Then if a creditors list is done by adding all the different creditors, okay, in the creditors ledger. Okay, so we've got a creditors ledger, and there we've got all the different people that we owe money towards. Macro is one of them. Okay, so we do all the transactions using the CJ, CPJ and CAJ, but specifically looking for the name of that specific creditor in those accounts. Okay, and then we do each account, and the final total we're going to take to the creditors list. And the creditors list shows you I owe Macro so much, I owe this creditor so much, and if we add all of them together, the final total of the creditors list must be equal to the balance of the creditors control account. Why? Because the creditors control account is all the creditors, but we don't specify which creditors, and the creditors list specifies the specific creditors. We do, going back to the creditors ledger, we show each creditor and we show all the transactions that was done with them in the creditors ledger, and only the final total goes to the creditors list. Okay, so that was the first part of page 32.